Hello friends! It has been so long since we have chatted and since I've made a video, and it is so good to be back filming. I actually was kind of struggling with something with lettering, and I thought maybe I should just make a video and share it here and kind of work through it with you guys in case you guys have been having the same situation. So today I wanted to just show you some new watercolors that I got. Not only some new watercolors that I got, but ones that did not really work out as I expected them to. And I wanted to, before I write them off, I want to give them another chance because I do feel like I have loved this brand of watercolors in the past and I've shared them before and I recommend them. But when I got this Vintage Pastels color set, it was just not really what I was expecting. And so I wanted to share it with you today and maybe try it out again and see if I can get a different result. So I've been using this one, the Decadent Pies, and then I have another one that I just literally can't find. I share my paint sometimes and I just literally don't know where it went, but I have bought it twice and so I know I love it. And the reason why I really like this brand is because they're just really good for lettering. I know they're not everybody's favorite when it comes to lots of different types of watercolor, but for lettering specifically, I think they're really great. And I think part of that is because they are really opaque, and so they can be kind of chalky, but for lettering where we're wanting to add a lot of water, they perform really nicely in my opinion. So that's why I got this Vintage Pastels color. But when I did it, let me show you what the swatches look like. I was adding a lot of water and they were still really light, with the exception of the charcoal. I don't necessarily want to buy a paint set just for charcoal. And in fact, I even can tell that I added some paint from a tube. I'm assuming it's this Payne's Gray because I have this sitting out on my desk and this is where I was lettering with these. But yeah, I don't know. I really love the colors, but you can kind of see here where I added extra water. It did not dry nicely, and I want to add a lot of water when I'm doing watercolor lettering. So I thought I would just go through, swatch these again, but instead of swatching them like this, I'm going to swatch them with hand lettering. And so I'm just going to pick a word, letter them over and over. I also have a couple of other ones that I can compare them to. I have this one that I showed you already, the Decadent Pies. I have this set here, which is very vibrant and beautiful. I can show you those in a different video if you want to see swatches of all of these. And then I also have this Winsor Newton Cotman set. This is my second set. I replaced my first one because somebody used all of the red out of my old set. So I bought this one in case I need to compare. I don't think this one's super comparable to these two, so I might not use this one, but we'll see. I have them all here if I want, and the one that I'm going to be swatching for you now is this one that you see, the Watercolor Confections Vintage Pastels, which again, they're such beautiful colors. I really want to love them, but in order to love them for lettering, I think I need them to be a little bit more opaque than this. So let's see if I can make it work. I've got a lot of different brushes here to try, and we'll just see what happens. So here are some of the names that I was trying to swatch with these, and it's not bad. I did get it dark enough where you can see it, but I feel like it was at the expense of my lettering because I was focused so much on getting the right consistency that I wasn't able to focus as much on the actual lettering and didn't love the way that a lot of these turned out. Now, I wanted to letter all the names of people who have joined my watercolor lettering course. This is like a really tiny portion of them, and it took me a long time to do these. And so that's when I was like, I just need to stop and get my watercolor and brush situation figured out. Maybe these watercolors are just not going to be the ones that I'm going to do these names with, and that's totally okay, but I want to give them another chance before I just set them aside and forget about them. Let's go ahead and just start by activating these watercolors. I have a spray bottle here just to make it quicker. And maybe this will help as well. Last time I tried to use my paintbrush and I just dipped it in water, and maybe this will help. Now I'm so tempted to want to swatch these because that is just what I do and have done a lot in the past, but I want to actually letter with them. Now typically when I'm doing lettering, I don't letter right out of the pan. So let's see, I don't think I have any clean palettes. We'll see how we can do with this here and see if we can find enough space. And to do my lettering, I'm going to be using this size 2 round brush. Now, I have used these a bit since I lettered with them. We, for homeschool, painted Canada geese, and this actually was a wonderful color palette for it. It had like the dark charcoal. I mixed this one with a couple of these pinks to get kind of the different colors of feathers, and so I am not an expert in animal painting, so I won't bother sharing that with you. But these colors did work really nice for that. So what word should I use for our swatches? I am going to use the word create. Now, if you have any recommendations on words to swatch, I would love it because that is something that kind of hangs me up sometimes. And this is why I do not typically letter right out of the pan. You can see how dark that sea got, and that is not what I'm going for here. It's a little bit too muddy for me. Okay, already this I think is looking a little bit better than my swatch. I'm going to finish the word and then I will show you the comparison. Okay, so when I was swatching, I was really struggling to even get these colors to really show up. If you can see that periwinkle, that's so light right there, and this looks much better. So maybe we're onto something. Let's just see. I am moving on to the color called Sage. Now, I know I haven't made a lot of videos recently. I am really excited to start getting back into it, but I do have some changes that I want to share with you, just with not necessarily like schedule or anything like that, more just how I'm feeling about lettering and teaching lettering. I feel like I've gotten a little, I don't want to say burned out because I don't think that's the right word. Maybe lacking a little bit of inspiration lately, and I really think I have kind of figured out why, and I wanted to share that with you, which I will in a different video. And I want to share that with you before I start making a lot of tutorials and things like that, because I do think it's important to have kind of a clear purpose. And so I will hopefully be able to do that soon. I recently, actually just today, went to the eye doctor, which is one of those things that, you know, now that I'm in my 30s, I should probably go to the eye doctor. I think I went once as a kid, and I don't know that I'd had an eye exam, like a true one, since then. And I discovered that I have astigmatism. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. I'm honestly not really sure what that is. But the eye doctor explained it to me that when I wear my glasses, when I am using a screen, sometimes that will help with like things getting blurry. And I definitely have that problem when I'm editing a lot of footage. It's really hard for me to edit at night. Things get really blurry. And so hopefully, now that I'm getting some glasses to help, that will help, because yeah, it is very difficult for me to find time to edit during the day since I have little kids, and it's really hard for me to see to edit at night. So anyway, have you guys been to the eye doctor? It's all the fun things about this age. Maybe I'm alone. Maybe other people actually go to the eye doctor more frequently than I do, but I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to find time to do those things for yourself when you're busy taking care of other people. And so yeah, that is what I'm up to these days. But hopefully with that change, I will be able to have a little bit more success when it comes to editing and getting videos out for you guys. I don't have glasses yet. They're still coming, but we will see. I'll let you know if it helps. Now, I am actually finding that this looks totally different than my swatches, and I'm like thinking, should we be even swatching or should we just be lettering, because this is not accurate at all. Now, I know there's nothing wrong with swatching, don't get me wrong, but I've said it before, hand lettering with watercolors is just so different than hand lettering with, than using watercolors for different things. So if you are talking about making art like landscapes or florals or all the different things, it's just a really different process. I mix my colors differently. I want a different consistency. I use different brushes. I use different techniques. That is actually why I created a watercolor lettering course, because I found that the tutorials that were showing me how to make flowers and things like that, which I love, don't get me wrong, they were just really using different techniques than what was working for me with watercolor lettering. So here I have these first three colors: periwinkle, sage, golden glow, and terracotta. And I did not like these here, but I absolutely love these. And this is a completely different look. And this is more like what I was expecting out of this when I was creating these swatches. And I actually did film the swatches. Maybe I will lay those over here. But I do feel like I worked pretty hard to get some colors. It's not like I just, took a little swatch and tried to get dark colors with just a little bit of watercolor. I really worked to get these colors as dark as they were. I think that's why the charcoal got so dark, because I was really trying to lay it on here. And look at that, is so different. And I love this. Okay, this makes me a little bit more happy. Let's move on to Suede. And again, those lighter colors, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that when it comes to watercolor lettering, again, I want to add a lot of water. And so if I'm adding a ton of water and the colors come out really lightly, then I can't see what I'm writing. And so it's just a little bit different. And, you know, with with watercolor painting, you can do a lot of layering, but we really aren't doing a lot of layering in watercolor lettering. So, okay, this one's still pretty light, I will say. It's a little bit darker with the C, but I kind of have a lot on there. It's not as vibrant for me as these first three, but maybe that's just the color. And then this next one I have is Stone Gray. I also think these would mix up really beautifully. This would also be nice if I had more space on my palette. I probably should have cleaned this off before we tried, but honestly, I had pretty low expectations of this working, because again, I just really felt like I tried hard to get these nice colors, and I didn't get them. Now, in hindsight, I kind of wish that I wouldn't have lettered these all in a row, because now I'm gonna run out of space, and then it's just gonna feel kind of uneven in my opinion, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 more to go, and probably gonna need to use the side, but that's okay. The next one I have is Breezy. When I shared this one on Instagram, I think this was one that people liked. Let's see, this one is so, well, no, it's maybe not too light. It's actually one of the darker ones as far as the blues and greens go. So for comparison's sake, this is Sage, and then that one is Sage. So Breezy, we should comparatively be able to get it a little bit darker. We will see. All right, so that one is still pretty light. I did try to dip it right into the pot for these ones, but again, that just gets a little muddy for me. So it did make it a little darker, but kind of lost some of the details in the lettering. So it's not my preference. Now, do keep in mind as you are watching this that I have sprayed my palette before I started. So if you're watching this and taking note of how much I'm like having to dip it in water, if you don't spray the palette first, you may have to dip your brush in water a little bit more and dilute it a little bit more. But I'm not having to do it quite as much since I did use that water bottle to spray right onto the palette. Now, I can't remember exactly where that's from. I think it's from Hobby Lobby, but if it's not from Hobby Lobby, it's from Michael's. I cannot remember. I think it is from Hobby Lobby though. Now, this was my favorite color when I started, this dark rose, but we will see if it still is once we do this. Whoops. So that is why I think watercolor lettering is so forgiving. If you saw that, I just totally misjudged where my A was gonna go, and the end of my E was sticking right up, but you know what? It's totally fine. You just have to go over it again. I know that watercolor lettering looks tricky, but I think personally it is very beginner friendly. To me, I've said this before, but when I started watercolor lettering years ago, I think it was the process that actually helped me figure out those thick and thin strokes, because it was just so much easier to see, like, oh, when I push hard, my brush fans out and this is what it does. And it just really helped me like grasp what I was doing with my pressure when I was using a brush pen. And I then went from that to being able to use a brush pen pretty easily. But it really started for me with watercolor hand lettering. And so if you've been afraid to try because you think it looks like a more advanced technique, I would disagree. I think that it is very beginner friendly and kind of follows the same principles and has its own unique learning curve. But honestly, brush pen lettering is difficult for a lot of people too. So, oh, this is so hard. I'm gonna run off the page. I should have rotated my paper. That might have helped. But I only have one left, so that's all right. I really like this one too. This was Dusky Mauve, and I could see how you could make some really beautiful art with these combinations. All right, so what do you think? This is totally different. Let me just show you my swatches. This is totally different than what I got here when I created these, when I first swatched them. And honestly, I'm like wondering if I'm ever going to swatch things normally again, because this is so different and so much more realistic to how I'm going to use these watercolors. And so I love them a lot more. Again, you know, I was saying at the beginning, like, I just wanted to try them out before I set them aside and didn't use them again because I wanted to give them one last chance. And I'm so glad I did, because I could see some really beautiful color combinations. I love these four together up here. I love these pinks and kind of this like stone color here, stone gray, and I guess that's suede. I just really am so glad I tried these this way. And this is actually my hand lettering journal. I was going to like sacrifice a page of it because I wanted to use this Kansan watercolor paper, and I think I might be out of the watercolor paper pads. I need to purchase some more. So I was just going to take a page out of this, but honestly, I feel like this is a perfect page for my watercolor, or for my hand lettering journal, because it's just like truly hand lettering, practicing, but it still comes out so beautiful. That's, again, I say it all the time, why I love watercolor lettering. You can make the most simple of things and they just look beautiful. I do still think I really love this dark rose. I can't say it's my favorite anymore. I don't know. I will definitely keep playing with this palette. Now, I know I said I had a lot of different palettes that I could compare these to, but I don't, this video is getting kind of long, so I'm not sure that I'll do that in this video. But if you guys want to see another one, let me know which palette you want to see, and I'm happy to do that for you. But I think I will end it here. This was so fun to just kind of play and create, and I hope that you found some inspiration. If you have any other questions or any other types of videos that you want to see or tutorials, let me know. I would be so happy to hear. And so yeah, thank you so much for joining me. If you are interested in learning more about watercolor hand lettering, I will leave the information for my course listed below. But I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you again soon. Bye.